So you think you know how to play Red Dead Redemption 2. Well, you're wrong, you're dead wrong, you're red dead wrong. Okay, that's enough. Today, I'll be trying to beat RDR2's 5th chapter in the way Rockstar games never intended, by failing every mission objective 3 times and using the skip checkpoint feature. A link to the other videos in this series is in the description in case you need a refresher on the rules. And with that out of the way, pack your sunscreen and grab your swimmies, cause we're going to Guarma!
I saw what I looked like in a car window, and now I don't want to go.
Are you even trying?
What's good, everybody? We open the game's 5th chapter on the pristine beaches of Guarma. I've washed ashore here after the boat we used to escape the Saint Denis bank heist had an incident inspired by the 1997 James Cameron movie Avatar: The Way of the Airbender.
We're speeding up. I've just ordered the last boilers lit.
Okay, I probably got the name of the movie wrong, but maybe someone who doesn't understand satire will correct me in the comments. I can feel the salt air tingling in my lungs as I engage in one of the most immersive free roam experiences gaming has ever seen. It's so immersive, in fact, the only functionality I have with my controller is to walk forward and complete the mission objective of searching the beach. But since that's not what I'm trying to do, I use my lifeline to avoid starting this chapter in the negative. The engaging gameplay continues after a cutscene. I learn that Dutch, Bill, Javier, and, unfortunately, Micah are alive, but we are quickly captured by island security. They detain us, and we're forced to follow them in chains. I find out if I don't press forward on the controller during the sequence, there's a secret cutscene that plays where Arthur gets beaten with a stick. Nice. I skip ahead to the part where we are freed by a group of rebels. They're fighting against someone named Fusar, whose men had captured us earlier. I use my newfound freedom to attempt to be the first person to ever jump across the Caribbean Sea. I came up horribly short of my goal. Javier is shot in the leg during the escape, and we are forced to leave him behind. We fend off Fusar's men and discover our new ally's name is Hercule. He tells us where Javier is likely to be located, and also that some of his rebels are missing in the jungle, which sets up the next 2 missions. I choose to go after Javier first, but not before testing this pit trap for quality assurance purposes. I lead enemies back to camp and rack up another free roam failure, my 3rd of this series. Dutch and I do a bit of casual spelunking before I'm presented with a door to open. This is reminiscent of repairing the wagon wheel all the way back in Chapter 1. Once I take hold of the door, there's no way to release it.
Are you even trying?
I couldn't find a way to fail this part either, and even if I wanted to use a lifeline, there's no way to skip it. Our guide through this tunnel on the way to Javier is an old woman by the name of Gloria. She demands more gold from us for her services, and Dutch strangles her after she pulls a knife on him. It doesn't take too long before that pesky fly from earlier in the run returns. Unfortunately for Javier, the guards upstairs hear my gunshots, panicked, and shot Javier dead as a fight-or-flight response. Most people squeeze a stress ball, but these guys are special. They shoot unarmed prisoners. In the end, we save Javier despite a series of missteps.
Take the other side of this door.
Okay.
Alto!
Which leads us to the point of rescuing Hercule's rebels. At first, I was concerned about the opening section of this mission. Arthur wakes up tied to a chair and is being interrogated, which is not that different from a typical night for people who get weird in the bedroom. The game intends for you to rock back and forth to break free of the chair, and all other controls are disabled. What I found out was that if I waited long enough, there's another secret failure condition to this mission where Arthur's interrogator will get angry and slit Arthur's throat, which, when you think about it, is not that different from a typical night for people who get weird in the bedroom when they are also part of a drug cartel. The rest of this mission is much easier to fail. All I have to do is alert the guards or get killed. I meet up with the boys and they're talking about our plan to get off the island with Hercule. He tells us we can't leave right now since Fusar has learned we are wanted men and has called in support. As he's talking, we're interrupted and asked to follow him up to the roof. Not wanting to follow directions, I search for a way out of the room. The door is locked and things are starting to look hopeless when I notice a lantern. Problem solved.
What are you doing down there?
Taters got burned, and so did I.
I skip ahead to regrouping on the roof and discover Foofstar has called for an actual battleship to be sent after us. How he knew we would be hiding in this fort when the battleship arrived is beyond me, but fortunately, this position is easy enough to defend with the right plan.
Great plan, Arthur.
Hercule takes one for the team, and I skip ahead to the final mission on the island. The setup for this mission is we have to rescue our ship captain and destroy some artillery before we can escape. Dutch tells Bill to guard Javier on the ship while the rest of us go to complete the mission. Wait, Bill gets to peacefully guard Javier on the boat? I thought to myself.
Not if anything to say about it. I...
The rest of this mission is fairly standard. I abandon the gang by running into the long grass.
Don't go into the long grass! Hey, fellas.
And dare Foofstar to shoot me like I'm Gus Fring walking straight into the line of fire. And with that, we're off the island, but not yet out of the chapter. I catch a dinghy back to the mainland, and Dutch instructs me to go back to Shady Belle to look for the gang. On the way there, I find out if I skip a checkpoint by riding far enough away from Shady Belle, my horse will stay where I was when I failed the checkpoint. This fortunately proves to not be an issue, as I'm able to fail the activities inside the house at Shady Belle enough times to get teleported to Lakay, which is where the gang has set up camp. It's a short-lived reunion, however, as the Pinkertons have found our location and they open fire with a mounted machine gun. I bravely save the day by running out the back in an attempt to create a diversion. When that mysteriously doesn't work, I try to take out several agents at once with dynamite, but instead I get spotted. After the Pinkertons are dealt with, there are two branching paths to take. One involves the beginning of a plan to get John out of prison. He was captured during the Chapter 4 bank heist, and there is talk of hanging him. Sadie asked me to meet her in Saint Denis to get that mission chain started. The other objective is to find a new camp for the gang, since the Pinkertons know where we are and are expected to return soon. I choose to meet up with Sadie first. On the way there, Arthur breaks down in a serious coughing fit. He collapses and has to be helped to a doctor by a complete stranger. My controller locks up in this sequence, so I'm forced to use my second lifeline in this chapter. Yes, I know, I normally only get one, but if you remember, I did not use a lifeline in Chapter 4, so I'm allowing myself two this time. Sue me, it's my video series, I'll do what I want. Surely I won't skip over any important cutscenes as a result of skipping through this walking section.
You got tuberculosis.
That's the sort of news that makes you stop and think. Think about how small and insignificant our lives are in the grand scheme of things. Think about how we should savor each and every moment, because we could be blindsided by tragedy at any time. Think about creative ways to fail. Yet another riveting section of gameplay, where all I can do is walk forward at a slow pace. Wait. You mean if I turn around and go back through the doctor's office, climb this ladder, fall, and repeat those steps, I can fail the last part of this mission by dying from fall damage, thus preventing a 10-point deduction to my score?
Sure.
Cool! I needed to blow off some steam following the diagnosis, so I take Charles on a fishing trip. Unfortunately, the oars to our canoe were destroyed in a natural disaster of previously unseen proportions, so we weren't able to steer the boat properly. We wound up stranded deep in the woods and had to fight some backwoods cannibals. It got real freaky, I'm not gonna lie, but I could easily fail this mission by dying repeatedly, which is not all that different from what happened the first time I played this mission. Fun fact, this was the only mission during my original playthrough of this game where I was presented with the option to skip the checkpoint. So in a way, the idea for this entire series comes from this very mission. Oh, and there's also this girl the cannibals were keeping hostage, but she makes it out fine, don't worry. Dutch wants us to use the spot we took from the cannibals for a new camp. Molly shows up drunk and confesses to telling the Pinkertons about the bank robbery, which resulted in the deaths of Hosea and Lenny. Women, am I right? Susan makes sure Molly fails her final checkpoint as the chapter closes. Wow, this game really hates red-headed Irish people for no reason, huh?
What is it?
It's not good news.
I guess that.
You got... Never gonna give you up. gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye, never gonna tell a lie and hurt you.
Thanks for hanging out with me as I continue this series. There seems to be at least a portion of my subscriber base who show up for every episode, and the like rating has always been favorable. I think that's really cool. If you like this style of content, check out one of the videos on the end screen. And until next time, make it count.